Welcome to On the Rocks podcast. I'm your host, Nate Callens. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest who I've known virtually for a very long time. We have Mr. Matt Paxton with us today. He is a downsizing and cleaning expert, a TV host who starred on A&E's classic show Hoarders for 12 years, a speaker, author, radio personality, and host of the TV show Legacy List with Matt Paxton on PBS. He started cleaning out houses after his father, stepfather, and both grandfathers died in the same year, and they are the reason Matt has been working with families struggling with hoarding and downsizing for over 20 years. He appears regularly as a public speaker, TV guest, and radio personality, helping families find the upside of downsizing. You don't live in Virginia anymore.
That's old. Man. That's old.
Yeah. Where do you live now? You just told me, and I already forgot.
I live in Atlanta, outside of
Atlanta. Hot Atlanta. Okay. Yeah. Matt, welcome to the On Rocks podcast, man. I appreciate you joining me.
Dude, thanks for having me. Good to talk to you again, man.
Of course. It's been a long time, hasn't it? I mean,
you listened to my old podcast. That's how we met.
Yeah.
You were like one of my first 10 listeners, man. Like for real.
Yeah.
Like early on. Yeah, I think you were like in college or something. I mean, you were
pretty
young.
Much. I mean, God, that was probably, I want to say 2011 or 12, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. Easy. Yeah.
The good old
10
days.
years, dude.
Yeah. That just went poof.
I know.
It went.
It's crazy.
It is. And you were a single man back then, weren't you? Not single. You didn't have any kids at that point. Or did you?
I had no kids.
Right.
And now I have 7. So things have changed.
You almost have a full baseball team. So
yeah.
Wow. So I listened to your podcast, 5 Decisions Away. After I, got to know you on television on Hoarders back in the A&E days. Actually your podcast was one of the first podcasts I listened to. So we got that going for us. And now we kind of come full circle. You're on my
Well, I remember
podcast.
you probably don't remember this. You sent me a message one time and you were like, dude, your podcast has made me want to do a podcast.
And it took me a long time to finally get it going.
Yeah, but you did it,
Yeah,
and I was like,
sure.
Same thing for me, man. I mean, it was such a weird time where it was at the beginning of reality, not the beginning of reality TV, but still,
right.
It wasn't, a lot of the shows were still real.
Yeah,
like it wasn't overproduced.
For sure.
And, I was making, I tell people all the time, I was making $12 an hour cleaning houses, hoarded houses, and happy to make it, man.
Right.
Like I was just trying to eat. And then I get put on this show, Hoarders, and it airs on TV. So within a month, I went from making $12 an hour to this lady calls me and she's like, yo, they want you to be on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
Oh my God.
Right? Like that tells you how long ago it was, right?
Yeah.
Leno was on there. And it was, to me, it was everything, because I wasn't a guy on TV. I was just trying to hustle and eat. And we covered this a lot on my old podcast, but it was crazy. I just thought I was lucky to get these opportunities and, I was like, oh, I'll be on TV for a week and it'll go away.
Right.
But then people we started doing the podcast and people like you would write me and I'm like, dude, I'm on your side. I can't believe this either,
Yeah.
And I actually looked up the numbers. I actually had a call with Dex Swizzle the other day. He was my co-host.
Wow. Yeah.
Cabell. And Cabell and I, everybody grows up and Cabell was my boy and we cleaned houses together for 8 years.
Wow.
And then, and he owns a bunch of apartment buildings now. He's killing it, doing really well.
That's
killing
good.
it. I'm so proud of him. But he and I were talking and we went and looked at the numbers and we were getting 200,000 listeners consistently.
What?
Every week we were doing 200,000 downloads.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And so, and I was telling my agent that he was like, dude, if you had those numbers now,
what?
He's like, if you had stayed with that, he's like, that's all you'd be doing. That
For
is
sure.
all you, and I was like, yeah, I didn't know that, man. And I quit it. I quit it because I wanted to, I was basically going to get a job.
Yeah.
And then when I got divorced, my lawyer was like, you got to wipe this podcast from the world. He's like, it cannot exist anywhere. Right. So I have one hard drive. That has the entire 82 episodes.
Oh my God. I would love to get a copy of that.
Man. It exists. It's in a safe. I literally put it in a safe. And about 2 years ago, I hired a lady to ironically from my church.
Sure.
I hired her to go through all 82
Oh,
episodes.
no.
It was beginning of pandemic. She lost her career.
Oh,
I
sure.
was like, she needed any work. I was like, look, this is a random thing I need. I was like, I'll pay you to go through 82 episodes and to write down all the stories I told.
Oh, wow.
Because I was drunk or high like half the time.
Sure,
you know? So
sure.
like I didn't remember. So for people listening, I was the guy on Hoarders. We would go and clean houses, and then me and my buddies would get like a case of beer, and we'd turn the mics on, and we would just tell crazy stories from that week. And the stuff we would see on Hoarders, and this is when Hoarders was at the beginning, and so no one had ever been in a hoarded house. No one knew we didn't know what we were doing. And we would be really, really drunk by the end of that podcast. And so I wouldn't remember half the stories, you know? Oh, no. And when I was going to write my new book last year, I was like, I need to know what all those stories are. First, I need to know what I said, because I now have a 16-year-old stepdaughter that I do not need hearing all these stories, you know, many of them. And and then I was just like, you know, my wife's probably going to want to know some of these stories too, to make sure, you know. And so I started reading through the Excel spreadsheet this lady created. Wow. And I got about halfway through, and I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to release this podcast again. It's done. Dude. It's out. Yeah.
So do you still talk to this woman that did that for you, or did she like say like, that was too much for me?
No, she was hilarious. So like we go to a pretty awesome church, and
nice.
It's a non-denominational, and everybody's just really positive. We're just happy to be alive. And it's all about positivity, and she was just like, man, I wish I knew you then. This sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I
mean, that
and
podcast,
she was just appreciative of the work. She was appreciative of the work. So it was a fun time. I've learned it was a pocket of time that doesn't need to live on forever.
Right. But it was the Wild West of podcasting, and it was so fantastic and fascinating. And I loved it, man.
I got to be on Rogan. I got to be on Stern. I got to be on the Sklar brothers, you know, like,
oh my God.
I mean, people asked me this the other day, like, people don't know this. I went on Stern because a girl I had dated a long time ago, she also dated Benji from Stern.
Okay.
So then she reached out to Benji and was like, as a favor, get this buddy of mine on. So I ended up getting on Stern. It's supposed to be 5 minutes. Yeah. Ends up being an hour. He interviews me for an hour.
Holy shit.
And like pure luck, right?
Yeah.
And that changed my life because he promoted my book and my first book. And that just about paid for my first house, believe it or not, that appearance.
Wow.
Which was a life-changing thing.
That's incredible.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I had no idea.
Made me a bestseller in an hour. And,
damn.
And I never really sold a whole lot of those books ever again.
Just that after that one magic moment.
It was that one magic moment, and one shining moment.
Yeah,
it was a big deal,
right?
And then I get on Rogan. Rogan has me on, and then that afternoon I was going over to Corolla's.
My God,
to do Corolla's podcast, and we were in LA. My agent, who now is a top executive in podcasting. I can't say who he is, but he was one of the larger podcasting companies. Dang. And back then he was just this dude that would drive me around LA. We were trying to like drum up podcasting business.
Insane.
And he's the president of a major podcasting company. And and he and I go over we got wasted at Rogan's place because they were like, they were like, do you want to hang out with Joe? And it's like, well, I guess there's only time the rest of the night.
Let's partake.
And don't get me wrong, I've grown up a lot since then, but
these were the old days.
Seize the moment. And so we go, and then they take me over. It's a 3-hour podcast, and 3.5 hour actually. So it was a long day.
That's a long time.
We're gonna take you to, and I'd done Sklar Brothers that morning.
Sure.
So then I do Rogan, and then I go over to, and those two guys are two of my favorite people.
Yeah. Just these sentences, Matt. Like, this is crazy.
They're brilliant. They're brilliant comedians. So then we head over to Corolla's, and I passed out at Corolla's. And they didn't let me go on because I fell asleep in his garage. And I wake up and Kimmel's there. And he's like, oh my God, dude, this is epic. The kid from Hoarders passed out. And so that's where I met Kimmel.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm going to have you on Sunday. I'm like, sure you will.
Yep, sure.
6 years later, he texts me, hey, dude. And I thought it was a joke.
That's amazing.
You know,
that's a great appearance.
Yeah. And he's like, hey, I need you to have him come on. And the whole time I thought it was a joke.
Oh my God.
And had no idea. I went there by myself and they were like, hey, do you have like where's your entourage? I was like, no, it's just me. They're like, no agent? And I was like, nope, just me. And so they put me in this room in the basement of Kimmel's like place. And they're like, well, the Rock had this room and the room next door yesterday.
Wow.
And so like the Rock had like 100 people with him. And
God.
and I had just me. Like,
right.
Nobody came. I was just by myself. And it was like awesome and humiliating all at the same time.
Sure. It was a great appearance. Dear listeners,
Thank you.
Google it, YouTube it, Matt Paxton on Jimmy Kimmel. It's great. A great little segment. It's fun. So Matt, you've done a lot of things in your life. How did you, what was your childhood like? How did you become who you are today? How did you become Matt Paxton?
I had a good childhood. I think most people talk about how bad their childhood was. I was, middle class, probably lower middle class, low enough that we were taught we had to work. The day we turned 14, we had to get a job, which I really am blessed for. Had fun, man. Lived in a great neighborhood. We had good friends. We played. We went to the pool every day.
Yeah.
We figured it out, and it was a great in Virginia. Loved it. And then the day you turned 14, we got jobs.
Yep.
And I was always hustling. I mean, I was selling candy on a bus. Like I would. So my parents were divorced, and for me that wasn't a bad thing. They both parented me a lot, and they both loved us, and my brother and I were very lucky. And I always say, I think honestly we got a really good life because our parents were divorced. And I would live at my dad's every other weekend. So I would go in the city. And so I would take my $3 allowance from the suburbs where my mom lived. We got $3 a week. And I would go over to the city and I would buy 10 packs of Now and Laters. And they were 10 cents a piece. So I'd buy 30 packs of Now and Laters. And I would eat one pack, and then I would sell 29, and I would sell them 3 for $1.
Oh man, hustling
on the bus. So I was making 70% margins, and so I was killing it until Price Club came out, and somebody's parents bought a box of blow pops, and this kid was selling 25 cents a
little bastard,
and my business was gone. Gone. The Now and Later hustle was destroyed.
Yeah, man. Well,
but I'll never forget. My mom was like, "How do you have $50?" And this was in 5th grade, and I was like, "I'm selling candy." And she was like, "What?" And so I just always was hustling and always trying to make money, and I've always enjoyed being an entrepreneur. And so I went to college. Thought I was gonna be a weatherman. I really wanted to be a weatherman.
Wow.
Believe it or not. Went to a small college. I ran track. I worked in high school. I was a delivery boy for a local pharmacy. I would deliver medicine to old ladies, and the job there was just to basically take a toolbox and take the medicine. And if they want you to fix something, you go inside and you fix it. And if they want you to have coffee, you sit down and have coffee. And it was an old man, old cricket. His name was Sam Crickenberger, and we called him
great name.
We called him Mr. Chicken Burger because
of course
he owned that place my entire life, and it was a neighborhood little grocery store, pharmacy, and he hired us all. And I didn't realize until 20 years later how important that job was.
Sure,
because I learned to hang out with seniors, and I learned to visit and talk and hear stories, and I'd get a quarter. For a tip. And it was after school. So I would end up drinking 6 or 7 cups of coffee because every old lady would be like, come in and have a cup of coffee. And so I would get home at 10 o'clock at night, wired,
wired. Oh my God.
Because I've been hearing these amazing stories, and I was a 16, 17-year-old kid. But it was a great job. And then went to college and I wanted to be a weatherman. And after the second week of meteorology, they were like, "You're not gonna cut it, dude." I went to a pretty hard school, and they were like, "You're not gonna make it, and you need to be in business." And it was a small enough school where the meteorology professor took me over, introduced me to the business professor, and he was like, "This is your kid." And then it took off from there. I loved building businesses, and I always made businesses, and I've just always done it. And went to work for the Federal Reserve, hated it. Went to work for Caesar's Palace, loved it.
Yeah, too much though, right?
Too much. I was a 23-year-old kid, and I was living in Las Vegas, and I had unlimited budget and no morals, and it was a dangerous place to be.
Right.
And it was the best summer of my life. I had a blast.
Of course.
And none of my 7 kids are from that summer. I ended up had a wonderful time, and messed up, gloriously.
Right.
And then, and had to literally a bookie, I owed a bookie $40,000. And so I'm always open about that.
God. Yep.
And I had to leave town very quickly. And a buddy of mine paid off the bookie for me. and I had to come back to Virginia with my head, held very low.
Right.
And then pretty immediately my dad got sick, and I'm skipping over a year and a half there.
Yeah.
But my dad got sick and died, and then in 3 months time. And
Wow.
and I started cleaning out his house after he died, and that's how I started cleaning houses. And it sounds crazy. I'm skipping over 15 years there, but
right.
But I was very lucky as a kid. I had space to like mess up, and raised by a really good, hardworking single mom, and my dad was there for stories and fun and beer, but like it was a big. I had a good. I think so many people have these horrible, tragic lives. I really didn't. I had a good life. Any of the bad stuff that happened to me, I created.
It was your own doing. Yeah.
My own issue.
But you've recovered nicely now.
My second half has been solid, and I'll argue because my 20s were a nightmare, man. Like, I really messed it up, and I got addicted to gambling, I got addicted to drugs, I got addicted to everything, honestly.
Sure.
And then everybody died, and so the men that I expected to take care of me, they were not there. And so then I really kind of spiraled, because the women I really respected, and I didn't want to tell them all my failures.
Sure.
And so I was kind of on my own for those last 5 years figuring that stuff out. And I'll argue now, like, I got buddies making horrible mistakes now in their 40s.
Wow. Still.
Anybody if you got a buddy that's 45 that's dating a 25-year-old girl, it's actually worse than you think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it sounds kind of cool, but
it's not.
Trouble.
Other than the
it's
obvious,
trouble.
it's not cool.
Correct.
All, right? Yeah. And I got buddies making mistakes now, and I'm like, oh yeah, I did all that in my 20s.
Yeah, I did that 20 years ago.
And I'm so lucky to like be able to, I had my kids later, but like I'm actually able to be all in as a dad now, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. And nothing the kids have thrown at me yet is something I didn't go through myself.
Wow.
And my wife's the same way. And so it's kind of fun to like, we really enjoy. We're just like, well, let's just sit back in here. Like, what's this going to be? Like, this is going to be great.
Having that life experience that has prepared you for pretty much anything that can come up has got to be pretty sweet.
Yeah. And I think that's why I was so good with hoarders. Like, the hoarder, anyone that hoards, they do it for a reason. Something bad, something tragic happened to them. And usually I could totally relate. And so I think I was really lucky to have failed so much, because in the career that I'm in, helping people out of messes physically and emotionally, like you have to have messed up a lot.
For sure. And my wife and I, when we watch Hoarders, she always says like, man, I hope something doesn't happen where this, where it makes me a hoarder, because we see, what these people struggle with and how their houses look and how they just like fill up a house in, a few years. So she's always kind of worried, and she's kind of worried about me too. I mean, I'm a sneakerhead, as I know you are as well, but you're also a minimalist now. So
there you go.
The Jays,
got
the Jordan
biohacks on, man.
Hell yeah, dude. Those are sweet.
My stepson, this is a big deal. My stepson, so my wife and I merged two families, and she had 4 kids, I had 3, and it's hard for a teenager, for a new man to come into your life, and my stepson got me these shoes for Christmas.
Wow.
I'll tell you the whole story. It's really amazing. He has I've really gotten in on these kids about working, because when I was a kid, we went and worked at McDonald's. We did whatever we had to for that hourly wage. And as I've got new teenagers, I'm like, y'all don't work. I mean, I start comparing them to the past. I'm like, y'all don't do shit. Am I allowed to cuss? But I don't want to get.
You are. Yeah, you can swear as much as you want, for sure.
And so this kid he picks these shoes off. I don't know where he got them, but he bought them cheaper off of someone online.
Don't ask.
He cleans it. Well, he cleaned them. I know it was legit because I saw the cash go.
Oh yeah.
And he cleaned them up. And then it came Christmas time, and he's like, I'm going to give them to you. Wow. And then he pauses, for this amount of money. And I go, are you giving me these shoes? He goes, no, I'm going to sell them to you for a lower rate. And as a sneakerhead, I'm like,
hilarious.
I respect, man. I respect.
Yeah, respect the hustle.
And this kid, and he goes, or I can sell them to someone else for $400.
Oh my God.
And he could sell this shoe for $400.
He could, definitely.
He'd get it in a minute. And so I was like, damn it. I am going to pay for these, because I don't want them to go to somebody else. I mean, I'm a 9.5, man. It's impossible to get Jordans at 9.5. They're the most expensive shoe there is.
Yep. For
And
sure.
so he knew what was up, and I was like
Wow.
so proud of him at the
Yeah.
same time.
Kind
And
of
I'm
pissed
like,
at him.
this kid, I was kind of pissed, but I was like, you know what? This is love. Like this
Yeah.
is modern. He hustled. He did the work.
Yeah.
Everything I've been complaining about teenagers
Right.
don't do. He did it. He just does it somewhere else. Right. It's
Yeah.
not the same way I did, like at McDonald's.
Yeah. It's something that's interesting to him and that he enjoys, which that's
Yeah, it
important.
was awesome. So these are my new favorites.
Dude,
man.
those are
Love 'em.
sick, man.
Yeah.
Oh man. Congrats.
I love
Good
'em.
work. Good
Thank
work
you.
good on him too. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was great. But the
So-
only problem is I got two kids that wear the same size shoe as me now. And so I'm like,
where did
they're
my
always
J's
like,
go?
well, so I have the pair of the Ben and Jerry's.
Yes, those are something.
People hate them or love them. People either
Right.
love them or hate them.
There's no in
And
between.
No in between. I
think
love
they're
them.
fun. Yeah.
This is a very expensive shoe, folks, and I love it.
Mhm.
And he's like, "Can I wear them like to the dance?"
Oh
You know,
no.
It's like me asking my stepfather to drive his Porsche
Right.
when I was a kid.
Oh man.
And I was like, crap, I got to let him wear them.
Mhm.
Like, I got to test it. And I'm like, if these shoes get ruined, man, I am out a lot of money. You know? But it's like, I got to test it. I
Yeah,
gotta
right.
him.
You have to give him a leash. Now, do you have
so
the
he's
crease
gonna wear 'em.
the crease protector guards inside of them?
No,
Do you get
I
ready
think
like
shoes
that?
need to be worn. I'm a little
do.
different.
Yeah,
And so
for
the
sure.
ones I finally got honest with myself and I was like, which one of these am I actually going to sell?
Right.
And it's none of them.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. I'm not selling
Yeah.
any of these shoes.
Sure.
Now here's the deal. My
don't
wife
have
is a
to.
minimalist. Yeah. My wife's a minimalist. I've converted to minimalism. And so I only have 3 feet in my closet
Okay.
for my
That's
shoes.
good.
And so
Mhm.
now I have my collection has a space limit.
It's 10
And
feet
so-
deep, but 3 feet high, right?
Yeah, but I can only go 2 pair deep. And so
Right.
what I do is this is such a dumb story, but I'll do it.
Go for it.
I do a single file. I do the right foot in the back and I do the
Oh, sure.
right
Okay.
foot. So I can get about 8 pair in there.
Yep.
But like right now, if I want to, I found a guy that does custom
Oh,
Jordans.
that's trouble.
And
But
he's
they're awesome.
painting. He paints them Saved by the Bell colors.
Oh my God. Amazing.
They're stunning. And don't go flood them because he can only paint so many a month.
I was going to say, what's his handle?
Well, just follow him on Instagram. He basically cut him off. He's like, I'm too busy.
Wow.
And, but it looks just like the Saved by the Bell logo. They're beautiful. I really want to
Amazing.
pair them. And my wife's like, fine,
Yeah.
like you can do it, but you got to get rid of one of these pairs.
Ooh. I'm a 10, Matt, so we can't even do a switch. Or
Yeah.
anything.
No, we can't swap. And so then I'm like, do I work with my stepson to like figure this out?
Figure it out.
Know? And it's like, no, that's dishonest. So like,
Right.
I have to find a pair that I'm ready to get rid of. And right now, I
Yeah.
have no pair. And so
Matt.
it's funny how that little dumb thing like shoes.
Yeah.
Like that's my one
Oh yeah.
collection.
I have a problem with
don't have-
Vans skate
Yeah.
shoes. I have so many that I need to. I'm selling a lot of them too, like on
Do you have
Poshmark
any
and Mercari.
cabs?
But
Do you have those? I'm looking for a pair of those Caballeros.
ooh,
Or the
I
Hossois.
most-
Sorry, the Hossois.
Oh,
I had
Christian
a pair of
Hosoi.
cabs.
Oh,
The
dude.
Hossois.
Yeah.
There's Hosoi Goldens. I can't find them anywhere.
I'm gonna write that down.
Beautiful.
So I mostly like the old schools. I like the skate high and the slip-ons.
Mhm.
I've never had a pair of the cabs, the mids. Or the
They're great.
cabs.
They're great.
Yeah.
They're my walk-around shoe. Actually,
Oh
those cabs
wow.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
It's
cool
weird. My
looking shoe.
kids
I've
are
just
into
never had them. I don't know why.
They're great. Try them on. They're
Yeah.
actually amazing. They're super comfortable. They get torn apart, but
Sure.
the skate highs are great because when you actually skate, your ankle
Yep.
gets protected. The
For
cabs,
sure.
your ankle
Yep.
gets nailed.
Yeah, it's
But
just
I got
a little bit
kid
below your
that's-
ankle.
Yeah, I got a kid that skates now,
Nice.
and we have insane skate parks. Somebody cool works for the state skate park in
That's amazing.
Georgia, because every city park has a bowl,
What?
has a three pocket bowl.
Oh my
And so
God.
my kids are skating pools. Like
What?
there's like let's go to the bowl this afternoon, and so it's no big deal to them to go drop in on a bowl.
Yeah, it's just Shred City there.
And so I took my 1989
Yes.
Lance Mountain mini skateboard the other
What?
day. I still have it.
Oh man.
I took it to the skate park and I dropped in, and I'm 100 pounds heavier than I was last time.
But
skated.
you've lost weight
And
since I last saw you.
I've lost 25 pounds. Yeah, this year.
Good work.
But so I'm still 80 pounds heavier than last time
Sure.
I skated. And I rolled. I didn't drop in. I go to roll
Sure.
in, and the truck's cracked immediately
Oh,
because they're the original tracker
Yeah.
trucks. You know?
sure.
And they just shattered. And it was just like,
how's the
it's
deck?
a 35-year-old board.
For
Deck's
sure.
beautiful. It's still, the deck
Ugh.
is great. Same board I
Man.
skated on as a kid.
Dude, you
And
should hang it up.
actually-
Now that the trucks are broke, you should hang it up.
What's funny, I
Not
followed
hang it up,
Lance
hang it
now.
up, but you can still
Yeah.
skate. Just hang it on the wall.
Yeah. No, I follow Lance Mountain on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, and it's a kid
Legend.
I idled as a kid, right? He's
Mm-hmm.
one of the original Bones
Yeah,
Brigades.
for sure.
And it was a pretty big moment for me. I said something on his post, and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
"The dude from Hoarders is following me," and I'm
No
like,
way.
"Holy crap!" My own
What?
like childhood
Yeah,
memory,
man.
like it was.
That's
I mean, Michael
trippy.
Jordan might as well post, something.
Yeah.
It was really cool for
Oh,
me, and
that's
my kids are
cool.
like, "Who's
Who?
that?" And I
Yeah.
was like,
Got to
"Well."
teach them the ways.
I go, Tony. They all know Tony Hawk,
Of
of course.
course.
I go, this
Legend.
was one of Tony Hawk's teammates when he
Yeah.
was in high school.
Oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's funny how all that comes back.
It all comes back. Everything from
Yeah.
that era, I just still love. I actually bought a Vision Psycho stick recently, and I'm gonna
Wow.
do that up with the old school big wheels and everything. I hate the
Yeah.
new skateboards, like the popsicle ones. I call them new. They've been around for 30 years, but the little skinny decks, I can't do it with the tiny little baby wheels. I hate those things. Yeah.
No, I've got
So-
my big Phillips 66.
Yeah.
It's like monster
Yeah,
big wheels
yes.
truck.
Yeah, I got the G Bones wheels on it on mine.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, so I didn't think we'd talk about skateboarding. That's amazing. What size shoes do your skater kids wear? Like I'm always looking out for stuff. So
We have 6 boys.
oh my God. That your house must smell kind of interesting.
It smells. It's better than it's better than Hoarders, but not much better, right? So we have
God.
8, 10, 11, 12, 13 are the age of the boys.
Okay.
So basically everything 3 and above.
Sure.
My main boy, my skater boy, is he's a 6. No, he's a
6.
Yeah, he's a 6. Yeah.
6 men.
Any old Vans do, but I want those old Hosois.
The Hosois.
Those black
Yep.
high top leather ones. They're gorgeous.
God. Yeah,
He's good follow, by the way. On
yeah. Oh,
social
he
media.
is. Yeah, he's
super
awesome.
positive.
Yeah, he is. He's got the
And
good
his
vibes flowing.
His dad is an OG, man. His dad. Do you
Yes.
follow his dad?
Yeah, his dad is awesome.
I know your
do.
listeners are probably like, "What are we talking
What are we,
about here?" Christian
skateboarding?
Hossoi's dad is the
Yes.
coolest mother ever you will ever see in your entire life.
We've dug
If you
deep.
want to know what style really is,
Yes,
watch Christian Hossoi's.
for sure.
Or is it? No, that's Caballero's dad. It's Steve
Oh,
Caballero's.
Cab's dad. Yep.
Cab's dad is like just an OG, man.
Yeah, he is.
Like,
Oh my God.
oh,
So good.
yeah. Sorry.
So skateboarding talk with Matt Paxton. I love it.
I
So
know,
let's talk
Yeah.
about some of your newer stuff you've got going. I mean, Legacy List, that show is on its 3rd season right now on
Yeah.
PBS. Tell me about that and kind of how that came about.
Right.
It's a great show.
So Legacy List with Matt Paxton. It's I want to say new show, but we're actually getting ready for season 4.
I call it new
It's
too, but
crazy.
it's
It's new to
established.
most people. So TV's
Right.
changed since I started being on TV, right? When I was on TV, your airtime was like the most important thing in the world.
Mhm.
And Hoarders was always Monday night,
Yep.
8 or 9, which is like prime time
Big. Yep.
for cable. Well, now it doesn't matter when you're on.
Right.
And people just find it randomly streaming at one time. And so it's been really different where people find my new show. They'll be like, "Oh my God, I found you this weekend." And
Yeah.
I watched all 22 episodes.
Wow.
And so it's a little different. Like last night was our season finale for
Mhm.
season 3 in some locations. And
Right.
my mom was the only person that texted me.
What?
Right, because nobody's watching, because people don't watch it at the prime
Sure.
time. They watch it
Yep.
whenever.
Right.
But it's a great show, super positive show. About 5 years ago, I really made a dedication to being positive. And
Mhm.
not that Hoarders is negative,
Sure.
but to do, Hoarders is about a mental disorder and it's someone's low point in life.
Right.
And every week of my life was that other person's low point. And that gets really heavy.
Yeah.
And when I got divorced, I was just like, I need some positivity, man. Like I need to get really good. And I became a single dad, and I became a full-time single dad pretty quickly.
Right.
When I got divorced. So I got my boys full-time. And that was I thought I knew everything as a father. And it turns out I didn't know anything, It was one of those like, fine,
Yeah,
I'll do it all.
that
I'll do it all
moment.
anyway.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything. And like nothing.
Wow.
And I'll tell this is actually a quick funny story. My kids
Sure.
were at the JCC and the Jewish Community Centers where they went to preschool.
Mhm.
And the lady that runs it called me and she's like, "Hey, is everything okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, everything's fine. Why?" And she's like, "Well, you sent salami for lunch." She's like, "That's not kosher."
Oh
And I
no!
was like,
of course.
So I sent like the most like non-religious
Offensive.
lunch
Yeah.
offensive lunch you could send.
Yeah.
Right.
Damn.
And I was just like, "Oh my God." And so I was like, "Yeah, no, it's not good. I don't know what I'm doing." And
Yeah.
so they sent someone over to teach me. It was actually really cool. But
Whoa.
about that moment in my life, I just said, hey, I got to get really fully devoted to, I had already been dabbling in positivity, and like my entrepreneurship had gone more towards like I'd tried to get rich for a long time. And you listen to me, we were hustling, we were trying to make money.
Clutter cleaner, all that stuff.
Clutter cleaner was all focused on money. It turns out we were really helping people. But what I learned later in life was if you're focused on money, you're never going to make it.
Right.
You got to totally focus just on helping people, like service. Like, how do I serve another person? How do I help another person? If I focus on the quality of help and the quality of aid, then the money will come. Like, it just will.
It follows.
But if you focus on the money, it never happens. And so I was just like, all right, I'm going to test that in TV too. And so I left Hoarders. I left a darn good paycheck. Left it. Consistency work, all that. Left it. And I was like, I'm going to go. I hadn't even gotten the show off the road.
Oh, wow.
But I was just like, I got to go all in. And I needed to be home for a year because I needed to be with my kids.
Sure.
And this was 2 years before the pandemic. And so for a year, I put together this show called Legacy List. And what it was I knew that I had amazing stories in my aging American clients, which is our grandparents.
Oh, yeah.
Most of them are moving into senior living communities, or they're moving in with an adult child.
Right.
But something's happening, right? They're leaving their home of 50 years. And so I was like, there's so many good stories here. So I made the decision, I'm going to make a positive show about old people.
Yeah.
What's not to like, right?
Right.
And
exactly.
I go to sell it, and every network in the country said no.
Damn.
And including a network I had won an Emmy for.
Insane, by the way. That's crazy.
Thank you. I didn't win, but the show did.
Right.
But that network passed, and they asked me, they said, are there any attractive granddaughters that will fight over this stuff? And I was like, I'm sure there is.
Maybe. I can't guarantee that.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. There often is. But that's not the show I want to make.
Sure.
Right? And then what was really funny is it made me focus on what I really wanted to make. Right. And whenever someone says no, it just means you didn't explain it right.
Yeah.
Or you're talking to the wrong person.
Yes.
And unless you're dating, and if you're dating and they say no, let's be clear.
It's trouble. Yeah.
If my boys are listening, that's something we've already discussed. Right?
Pro tip.
Here's the deal. I knew I really, really wanted to make a positive. It just made me want to make it more.
Right.
And because the stories of these clients are amazing. They're just incredible. And so like, we talked to someone and he's like, oh yeah. Like first season, we actually had the guy signed up. We had one of, the Tuskegee Airmen, one of the original Tuskegee Airmen, ready to be on the show. And then he ended up passing away between casting. And that's one challenge with our show is we get people cast and then they die just naturally.
Damn. Yeah.
So we'll cast like 10 families to get 8, for the show. But long story short, we went out there and we PBS was like, we love it. And they were a really good partner. And I was like, and I now realize I couldn't have put this show anywhere but public television.
Sure.
Because I got to be honest, you go through your grandparents' house, you find some stuff that's not awesome. History is not always beautiful. And public television is the only place you can talk about that with true diversity and a true voice, because you don't have the commercial interference. And I mean, every time we film the show now, I'm like, oh my God, this would not have made it.
A lot of those moments.
Well, like we were at Robert E. Lee's boyhood home cleaning that.
Oh, yep.
Right in the middle of Black Lives Matters,
Wow.
And we were watching this family, like they were renting out the enslaved quarters, like for apartments.
Whoa.
And we're like, that's tacky at best, right? Yeah. Like at best.
Damn.
And then Avi, who's on my show, was just like, yo man, can I just have a conversation with her? And Avi's a civil rights activist.
Yep. He's great.
Whatever you want to do, man. Let's just get
have at it. Yeah.
And so he flat asked me, he's like, how do you feel knowing that this farm was built on enslaved people? And the family just started really telling the truth. They're like, we're uncomfortable with it. Like, but we don't know what to do, and like, how do you reconcile this? And it was really an emotional, but positive conversation.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortable, but we found a lot. And that was just to show you can't have that on cable. And so
no.
To long story short, like I was really blessed to figure out we were going to be on public television. And then the kicker for me was I knew it was going to be positive. I knew I wanted to feature the grandparents, not necessarily the kids. And the kicker for us was not discuss the financial value of the items.
Sure. Yeah. That's noticeable.
Everybody's like, well, what's its worth?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. First of all, there's 100 shows that do that and they do it well.
Yes.
And I've learned in my little journey, if you're doing something everyone else is doing, like I don't want to be the fifth best show.
Right.
Right. Who cares?
Yes.
You know, like I want to be the best show. And so I was like, we're going to go the opposite way. And what we quickly found out is that if you talk about the money, it negates the emotional story. And here at this point, I've had 20 years of cleaning experience. And what I didn't know is when you get away from the financial value, and you focus on the emotional value, not only is it a better story for TV, but it also helps the person get rid of the stuff better because they're not attached to what it's worth financial. They're then focused on the person, what it's worth, you know, to them emotionally.
Yes, they think about the sentimental value.
The sentimental value. And so the emotional value is so much greater than there. So like the very first episode, we found a 44-star flag.
That was amazing.
Insane, dude. And I'm like,
oh my God.
How'd you get this? She's like, I don't really know. My great grandfather had it, and then my grandfather had it, and then I've had it ever since. And it had been on a steamer trunk in her attic for 100 years. So we've been lucky to have researchers, you know, we've had really good partners on the show, supporters. And we were able to go to Ancestry.com, helped us out, and they did the research for us. And we found out pretty quickly that her great-grandfather was a train conductor, and he drove the train to Utah the day the Utah became a state.
What?
And so they made 4 flags.
Yeah.
There was one on his train. And at the end of the ceremony, he just took it home and put it in a steamer trunk.
That's amazing.
Here we are 100 years later, right?
Wow.
And the producers were like, well, what's it worth? And I was like, I don't care, man. Don't even ask.
Wow.
And they're like, you got to ask. And I was like, I'm not asking.
Yeah.
You're going to ruin the whole story.
Yeah.
And so even the first couple episodes, I had to fight my own production team. I mean, I own a production company now.
Right.
And I still had to fight. I was like, no, we're not going that way.
Yeah. You guys
and it took a couple years to really people to understand that like it's the stories that matter, not the stuff, and not the financial value. And here we are. We got nominated for an Emmy on season 1.
Congratulations. Yes.
Thank you. The show that nobody wanted.
Yeah.
You know? Now
You're laughing now.
Win.
Right.
Well, you know, you got to believe in what you're doing.
Right.
And, you know, that whole season, I'm like, am I wrong? Like, should I have just taken the money and made a show about how much stuff is worth?
Sure.
Because we could have if we had made it about what the financial values were, we could have sold it anywhere.
Right.
But they would have changed it into something we didn't want.
Not cool.
And so I was just like, I'm getting too old. Like, how many more chances at shows do I have? This is probably it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm 46. That's old in TV.
I mean, for something like this, I don't feel like it's old. I mean,
oh no, I'm young for my career now. I'm still the youngest guy in the career, but I've been doing it 20 years. You know?
Right.
And I think I could do this another 10, 15. I think this show can be made anywhere in the country.
Sure.
I think any house, anybody, anyone has a fascinating story. We've always known that. But as this generation downsizes, you're really starting to see some cool stuff.
And this could be a show like could last as long as Antiques Roadshow. There's no reason
I think it could.
You know, it couldn't keep going. You know,
if the kids want to travel in the summer, I'll do it forever.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
But, I mean, it's crazy. I've very quietly been on TV for like 16 years.
That's nuts. You know? It's already been that long.
I know. It's
so
crazy.
It is.
I'm actually going back to Hoarders, which is really crazy.
You are.
I'll be on Hoarders this season 16.
Nice. Well, congrats on that. That's exciting.
Back. Yeah.
Yes.
So I go out.
You have to
head out in a couple of weeks. You know. I got a train coming.
That's
Give me
cool.
2 seconds here.
Yeah.
You can edit this out, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Let me check my phone. You'll hear it. There's a huge train in my front yard.
Sure. So you're close then.
Oh, it was 150 feet.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and it's only 26 times a day.
You're shitting me.
No, it's 26 times a day.
What? You live in a rail yard.
Dude, so we live in this really cool downtown area, and the city is split by a train, and so it goes 26 times a day. You don't hear it at night at all.
No.
But it's constant. Like,
oh my God.
And it's all freight train. It's all freight trains. So it's basically like the circus and military and freight, and that's circus. It. And so I always know when shit's going down.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks ago.
Oh my God.
All the shit was going north for all the white snow-covered tanks and stuff were all going north to go to Ukraine. And we were like,
crazy.
Yep, this is ramping up, man. Like
shit's happening.
We'd sit in the front yard and just watch it go. And it would go for like miles.
Oh my God.
Miles of trains. All right, it's almost gone.
That's insane.
Where are you in North Dakota? No.
I'm in Fargo, North Dakota. Yeah.
You're in Fargo.
Yeah. The snowy tundra of North Dakota. Today it's actually somewhat nice out, but we've had quite a bit of snow this year and obviously cold days. So I work from home too. So it's
30 seconds this year here in Georgia.
Yeah. Lucky.
About 30 seconds, about an hour.
Sure.
All right, the screen is still going. Can you hear it or no?
No, I can't
hear
it.
You can't hear it. I can keep going.
Sure. Yeah, that's cool. So you have a new book out. Keep the Memories, Lose the Stuff came out recently. It's tracking well. I saw it's getting great reviews online.
Good reviews. We were top 100 on Amazon the first week.
It's amazing.
It's another part of my positive journey, just like really believing in like, okay, it's about the memories, not the stuff. Hence the name, Keep the Memories, Lose the Stuff. And I just, at the beginning of the pandemic, I was just like, hey man, I gotta get all these thoughts down. And I'd always been wanting to write a book again, but I just didn't have the time. And I called my partners at AARP. And AARP was like, yeah, let's collaborate. Let's do this.
Sure.
And so I was really lucky to get into writing the book with AARP as my partner.
Right.
And excuse me, it's a collaboration. It's not a partnership. I have to say that properly.
It's technical.
My lawyer will get on me. But it was really great and I had been doing some education for AARP.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, we had a bunch of questions last time I did that class. How many do we have left over? And they were like, oh man, you had 2,000 questions we didn't get to. Like when I do a I'll do a podcast or like a class, like a seminar for AARP, and like 45 to 65,000 people show up. Like
what?
They have 32 million members, and so
wow.
And so they were kind of like, man, if you're getting that type of viewership, like maybe you should do the book. And so I was like, just give me the 2,000 questions because that's the book, right? I'll put it in the outline, and it ends up it's really just 100 questions asked.
Sure.
It's really just 100 questions asked 200 different ways.
Right.
And so I created the outline, I created the book, started getting all my experience together, all the stories together.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in Virginia. At the same time, I fell in love with this girl that's now
perfect.
my wife. And so I ended up having to move halfway through it. And I had written this book. I was halfway through the book. I'm writing it. And then I had to follow my own advice. And that's a little harder I can preach all day. That's real easy. But when you have to follow your own advice, it's another thing. And so I got half through the book and I got I'm in my attic and I'm going through my stuff and I'm stuck. And I'm trying to follow the outline I just written for this book.
Yeah.
For AARP and for Penguin.
Oh my God.
Right? So I got some big
heavy hitters
behind us. And it's one, you can only be an up and comer for so long. And now I'm in the big leagues and I'm like, this book sucks. And I'm like, I can't, half my advice is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
damn
crap, I got to rewrite this thing. And so like, it was one of those moments where I was like, all right, I got to double down and I got to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so I called him and I was like, guys, I got to rewrite this. I've fallen in love. I'm moving. Turns out it's not very good. You're not going to sell a lot of, can you give me an extra month and can I rewrite it? And they were like, yeah, go for it. They were like super supportive. They were like, this is the beginning of the pandemic. They're like, pandemic will be over in 3 months. Don't worry about it.
If only.
And so like we all agreed and I redid the outline. What I changed was I put in the emotional part of my life and me having to leave. And because I actually grew up in this neighborhood, which I talked about earlier. And then I moved away for college. And then I came back at 30 and moved into the same neighborhood to raise my kids. And so I raised my kids in that same neighborhood that I was raised in.
Wow, that's neat.
And so to leave that neighborhood was really hard for me. And and I got to the point where I almost didn't move. Like I was just like, I can't give up all this stuff. I can't give up all these relationships. And I realized that's what my clients have been going through for 20 years. And so I really got deep on the emotion instead of just having a bunch of tips.
Right.
Like how to get rid of your stuff. It's like, okay, let's get really honest about the emotions. And once again, it turns out a positive look at your emotions really pays off, and the book's done really well. And we've been number one in organizing and cleaning until last week, and the Home Edit released a book, and now I'm screwed. I'm never gonna.
Well, congrats on that, man. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, you knew me early, and I was just trying to help people, and it's nice when you actually can. And I had a lady that wrote me this week who said, I had brain damage. And I've been streaming your show, your TV show. And she goes, it's made me remember things.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, how kind you are and how compassionate you are and the way you get people to tell their stories. She goes, it's made me start remembering things about my past.
Wow.
She's like, I can't buy anything from you. I just want to say thank you.
Oh.
And I wrote her back. I'm like, my God, I don't want you to buy anything. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah. You don't
I was
have
like,
to.
thank you, and it was really cool. So, I'm finally at a point where I'm like, okay, I can like chill a little bit because I'm like actually helping people,
Right.
and it's been great. And so I think we're coming out of the pandemic. Everybody's got a lot of stuff and they're just ready to start living again. I don't think they want all this stuff anymore. And so hopefully the book and the show helps people get rid of their stuff.
Right. So yeah, basically the only thing I have left is like a few of the pop culture questions. We already talked about sneakers, so I can cross that out.
Dude. I got problems. Have you seen those new? I love those new burgundies. Have you seen those Jordans?
I haven't seen them. No.
Oh, they look like purple velvet. Like,
oh my God, really?
They're insane. Oh, they're beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
What material is it? Is it like a?
It's not velvet. It's not velvet. It's
sure.
It's just patent leather. It's a beautiful. It's
oh wow.
Burgundy, like a burgundy.
Damn.
All outer, and then a white insole, and then an orange swoosh.
Little orange in there. I might have seen those. The orange sounds familiar. That's a good color combo.
They look like crap online, and then,
okay. In person,
they're insane.
Oh man, tempting. I'll keep my eyes peeled for those for you.
The problem living in Atlanta, man. There's a lot of good shoe stores.
A lot of shoe stores, yeah. So you got the book. I was going to say I haven't started your book yet. Got to finish Chuck Klosterman's book called The 90s, and I'm an audiobook guy. I'm a podcast nerd. So you do the read for your book.
I did get to read. I actually had to audition to read my own book.
Some no-name guy named Matt Paxton.
Yeah. And so they were going to go with somebody else. And I was very lucky to get it.
Sure.
And what an experience, man. I mean, you and I have recorded a lot, but man, it was 15 hours of recording of just reading your own book. And so you kind of like, you get halfway through it and you're like, oh man, am I
a dick?
Am I full of it? Is everybody gonna because I went for it emotionally. Like I really put I didn't do the safe thing. I put it all out there.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh no, what if I really gave it my best and it sucks? Like what if selling out is better than going all out for it, right? And I think as a podcaster, you kind of have to be you have to go all in or no one listens.
Yep.
But I had forgotten that feeling. And so I had the time of like between finishing it and doing, and I didn't do the audiobook until about 3 weeks before the book.
Oh, wow. So pressure was on them.
It's real late.
Yeah.
Because they want to make sure it's right. And you get in there and you're just like, oh God, does this thing suck? And you're like,
right.
And so it's about 3 weeks of just second guessing yourself every day.
Oh my God.
And then the book comes out and you're checking Amazon every 10 minutes.
Right.
To see like what your rate is. And I'm down to every other day now. Jeez. And like my wife finds, she's like, I'm going to block Amazon.
Yeah.
We're going to, so you can't.
I'm going to put a parent
because I'm going to buy
filter.
something just because I'm looking constantly to see how the book's done.
Obsessively.
And it's hard. But yeah, the audiobook was really cool. And it's done a lot of people. It's really cool. About a third of the books sold have been audiobook.
Wow. That just goes to show you the power of audio.
The power of audio, man. I'll say this. The book, you don't know you need it until you need it. And then once you need everything you need is in there. It's a little inspiration, a lot of great stories. It's my 9 tips of how to clean your house. And then there's a cool, hilarious story about a family at each chapter.
Oh, so that's great.
You'll find somebody you relate to in each chapter.
Good variety of people.
And then the best part of the book is the resource section in the back. And I almost didn't do it. But AARP finally encouraged it at the end. And it's the top 100 items people ask me about.
Okay.
And I put them in there alphabetically. And then so if you like stamps, what do I do with stamps?
Yep.
You go right to stamps and it tells you where do you go to get them appraised? Where do you go to sell them? Where do you go
nice.
And so all the ways you would do to get rid of stuff, it's all in that.
Oh, damn. That'll be helpful.
And then every product I use is in the back with the website of where to get it. So every clean and supply organized, anything that I think is worth having, it's all in there. So if you are going to clean your house, go to the book. It's all in there. Your
personal recommendations. That's amazing. That's great.
I wrote it so I would never have to work again.
Right.
People will, not from sales, but just so people can do it themselves if they want to.
For sure. And if you get sales too, that's great. Keep the memories, lose the stuff. Buy it at your local bookstore, preferably, right?
Yeah, local bookstores, or check it out at the library.
Yeah, that's another great option too.
Yeah.
You don't have to buy everything. So
No,
Matt,
I mean, that's the problem. Like, my whole deal is to help you not have stuff. And I
yeah, and
can't
then
be
it's
like, no,
like,
go buy all my stuff.
buy my
You
shit,
know?
do it.
Yeah. So, like,
You're a
look,
salesman.
books, you don't become a millionaire doing books. And so my
Right.
deal is like, if you need help, go to the library. It's cool.
Yeah.
Or if you buy it and then give it to someone else. Like, that's
Yeah,
cool too.
pass it on for sure.
Pass it
That's a
on.
great way to do it, because you learn all this stuff and you don't necessarily need that book. Give it to someone else.
Give it to someone else.
Yeah.
Or pay me to clean it up after you die.
Exactly.
That too.
So you got a few more minutes to do some pop culture stuff?
Yeah, man.
I know we
Let's
talked
do
a little
it.
bit about sneakers and whatnot.
Yeah.
We're both big into music, and I don't know if you know this, but I actually got into the Avett Brothers because of your recommendation on your podcast. So
yes,
I have an Avett Brothers fan. They have another fan because of you. So thanks for that.
I'll take it. Have you seen them at Red Rocks? You're close. Have you seen
them
at Red Rocks yet?
I have not seen them at Red Rocks. I have seen them. There is a smaller amphitheater in Moorhead right across the river from us called Blue Stem Amphitheater that holds about 4,000 people. I've seen them.
And they go there first.
Right.
They always go there the weekend before.
Yep. We're the flyover, the drive-through usually, but we've had a ton of great bands play there. Like I saw Joan Jett out there, John Prine, OAR, Weezer, Nelly was out there a couple of years ago. Just a wide mix of people, but
dude, OAR would be a good show.
Oh, dude. OAR is incredible. My wife didn't know a lot about OAR when we first saw them, but she's the type of person at concerts that, like, if she doesn't know the music and she can still be entertained, that's how you know it's a great band. Like,
that's awesome.
They got the horn section. They move around a lot.
Yeah.
They're so much fun, dude. You have to catch them somewhere. But
so my boy, I've got, you remember my oldest son, Cooper, is now in 6th grade.
Oh, dang. That's crazy.
I know, it's crazy, right? And now he's in the band. He's in the band.
Nice.
Plays the saxophone.
That's what I used to play.
He was like, Dad, there's just no good rock and roll with brass in it. And I go, oh yes, there is,
dude, my friend. Let's talk.
So I was like, well, let's just try this first. So I pulled out Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
And he's like, dude. I'm like, oh, right? Yeah, dude. I go, this will change everything, man.
Yeah, find a bunch of ska bands.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, then I played them. I played
Real Big Fish, Less Than Jake.
No, what's her face? Gwen Stefani.
Oh, yeah, No Doubt.
No, I played him, No Doubt.
Yeah.
And he was like, that looks like that lady from that show. And I go, it is.
Smart kid.
And so then it was crazy. I got to, even the 16-year-old daughter had never seen Gwen Stefani when she was like 18 and when she was
the ska chick.
Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, guys, this is Gwen. Like, this is the, like,
this is who we think.
We used to watch this video before school, and like, she was the hottest girl alive. It was everything.
So
I was like,
hot.
this is who that person is.
Yes.
And I was like, and they were like, man, that's awesome. Man. So like, it's been cool to see, get them into some old music as they go.
Yes. Yeah. And then get them into a little bit of yacht rock too. They have a little softer saxophone with the yacht rock stuff.
He's really into, my kids are, I mean, all they care about is video games.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, to the point where my son helped create a gaming team at his school.
That's
because
awesome.
He's like, all these dumb sports for jocks. He's like, that's not for me, Dad. Yeah. And I go, well, you know me, man. If you don't see something you like, go create it.
Do it. Yeah.
And I realized this was this year. And I realized, like, even with his mom, his grandmother, his birth mom, his grandmother, and his dad, and any grandfathers he ever knew, and his stepmom, all of us are creators, and we just we build where we build. So he's never been told you can't.
Sure.
And so the very first day, he's like, yeah, okay, Dad, yeah. And he just kind of like, whatever.
Whatever.
And then he comes back afternoon, he goes, all right, so I talked to the principal, and this is what I got to have to build it.
Whoa.
Goes, so I've created a survey. Here's the guidelines of the club. Jeez. And he went on Google Docs and created all this stuff.
What?
Right?
That's incredible.
And he's like, I've already talked to 3 teachers. I got to have a sponsor.
Whoa.
And they've all said no. And he goes, and I know, Dad, you got to ask 99 people until one says yes. You've told me that. He goes, so I'm going to ask all the teachers tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's a 6th grader just goes door to door knocking on trying to find a teacher to sponsor this thing. And he found it. And I'm like, dude, I'm so proud of you. Like, and he's just like, whatever, Dad. Yeah, okay.
He's like, no big deal. I just did it. That's amazing.
But like, when we listen to music driving around the car, they just want to play video game music.
Really?
And it's good music, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You get into it. It's really instrumentally created good music.
Amazing. Yeah.
And like, they're into Donkey Kong right now, and they play they play the music more than they play the game.
Incredible.
Because the Donkey Kong music is really good music.
That's so
and I'll
cool.
be like, this is 35 minutes long. And they're like,
Yeah.
well, that's the song
Well,
I chose.
I guess it's a song.
I'm
It's
like,
one song, Dad.
I picked a 3-minute song, and it's like, that sucks,
Oh, you talked about listening to music in the car. That's like mostly where I listen to my music. I listen to podcasts while I work. I do graphic design at home. So what's a song? Can you remember a song where you got home or to your destination where you stayed in the car to finish the song? I know everything's at your fingertips now. You can listen to stuff anytime you want, but is there a song that you've heard recently?
Yeah. Jim James from Austin City Limits, a song called "I Want a New Life."
Nice,
A New
good
Life
choice.
with You, and it just builds and builds
Yeah.
and builds. Have you heard? I don't know if you ever heard it.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah,
What was he from? What was the band he was from?
I'm totally blanking. Jim James.
Let me pull it up.
Yeah, dude. When you said the name, I was like, yeah, I know him.
Yeah,
wasn't Wilco.
Let me pull it up.
Yeah.
No, it's not Wilco. But dude, I'll do some.
You'll do some research for me.
Found Jim James. I'm doing it right now. Jim James is from. Crap, where is he from?
Jim James. God, I've listened to enough music on the radio station The Current out of Minneapolis. Shout out to The Current. It's like college radio, but it's public radio.
So I've been really lucky. I'm doing a lot of. I get to, just because of who works in public television.
Right.
We always end up getting a lot of guys from Austin City Limits that work on the
My
show.
Morning Jacket.
My Morning Jacket.
Yes, I was like, it's that same era. Yeah.
So he is unbelievable live, and I got to tell you, hearing him on. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a second. Okay. Yeah, I'll re-answer it. So
sure.
This guy Jim James, I listen to. It's specifically his live show from Austin City Limits. And there's a song called "A New Life," nice. And I really encourage people to listen to it because it's simple, but it's complex and it builds. And his band is insane, and you think it's over, like the crescendo, like you think you're there, and then it just goes into this just badass rock and roll. It just and I listen to it on YouTube. I mean, I listen to a lot of my music on YouTube because for my
you're one of the kids.
And man, I love it. It's A New Life. It really and it's timely for the life that I've had. I mean, I've moved
for sure,
and I took a gamble. I moved to a new town with a new family, merged from 3 kids to 7.
Yeah,
and
you've
it says a lot
yourself.
about my girl. Like I did want a new life with her, and it's cheesy as hell, but it paid off. And I'm telling you, this song will just make you hug your girl, man. It's a great song, and it's a badass song. So A New Life, I love that song.
Jim James, A New Life. So you talked about concerts you've seen him before. What was the last concert you've seen?
I just saw Ben Folds play with the Atlanta Symphony.
Oh, you poor thing.
I've probably seen Ben 50 times. And,
wow.
Yeah, Ben. I mean, when I was in high school, it was just Ben Folds 5.
Yeah, he's been doing it forever.
Oh, forever. And he was just a few years out. I mean, in college, he had just gotten out of Miami University, and so I knew he was in Raleigh, and so Ben Folds 5 was just groundbreaking,
so fun,
and he was just such an asshole and full of just insane talent, but like a total dick. And you're like, who is this guy? I love it. I think
he's cocky. Yeah,
he was so cocky. But it was one of the first musicians that told me to go the other way. And I've talked a lot about that today. Like everybody's going this way, go the other way.
For sure.
And so here we are. Ben's 50 something now. I've seen him a million times, and he now is the director of the National Symphony. He's the creative director of the National Symphony in Washington D.C.
Because why couldn't he be, right?
Way. Yeah.
Wow.
And but I was watching. We were on the way, and what I have changed differently is I don't go to as many concerts, but when I do go, I'm on the front row.
Nice. Yeah,
treat yourself. I'm getting older, and I don't get to do a lot, and I want to experience it. So I ended up getting second row tickets for this small hall. Everyone's wearing masks.
Yep.
But I'm right on the piano, and he arranges it all, and so it goes from you'll hear the song of him just on the piano, and then he plays your other favorite song with an 81-piece symphony behind it, and so it's totally melodic. It's just amazing, and it's all his. I mean, he's done a lot of the transcriptions with different artists.
What a talent!
But I'm watching him, and his fingers are old.
Mm-hmm.
and they're all taped up, and he doesn't play like he used to
Oh
play.
my
And I'm
God.
just like, okay, our heroes are getting older,
It's a real thing, man. It's a sad thing to see, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it was, and then I was kind of proud because he's like,
Yeah.
"All right, folks, I'm just getting exhausted. I'm just going to sing this one." And so Ben just says it, right, and he just
Yeah,
gets
he's
up
like,
there,
I'll do it.
but he always does this really. If you've ever heard of him, there's a song called "Rock This Bitch," and it's 100%. If you listen to it, it's always on every album.
Yep.
And he just basically he just does the words "Rock This Bitch," and then he creates a new song.
Yep.
Right with the audience. But he has to do it when it's a symphony. He's got a whole symphony. So he's yelling out like major fourth, major third, strings do this. And so he's
nerd
creating
alert.
a whole total nerd alert, right? But it's like, it's insane. And my wife had never seen him. And she was like, he's kind of funny. I see why you like him. And then she saw that. She's like, what just happened? Right. And I was like, every night. He does that every night.
Unbelievable.
And it was, if you've never seen Ben Folds, go see him.
I haven't yet. It's on my list.
A whole lot longer.
Yeah, there's a lot of artists that are on my list that I have seen, but he's one of them that I haven't. So I do need to make that a priority. So we talked about the song.
I've never seen Billy Joel live.
Oh my God, you have to. I saw him and Elton John at the Fargo Dome in my Fargo. Hotel.
Really?
Yeah, back in like
I remember that concert that year when they toured together.
That tour, like that, hearing them play Piano Man together and having the whole crowd. Just the crowd sing the chorus to Piano Man gave me chills for days, dude. It was amazing. You have to see him.
I got to tell this story because
do it.
Yeah. Right after 9/11, I went to Oktoberfest.
Oh wow!
And it was right after 9/11. It was early October, and I was in Hawaii at the time, and my buddies were like in DC. They're like, "We got to go to Oktoberfest." I'm like, "Who's going?" They're like 10 of us are going. And I'm like, it's a month after December 11th. And I'm like, what? It was $200 round trip business class from Maui to Munich, right?
What?
And I had to scrap together $200. This is 20 years ago.
It's cheap now for us, but back then it was a lot.
Yeah, but back then it was a lot of money. Yeah. And so I'm like, who's going? Like 10 of us are all going to be there. I get there. One guy's cousin showed up. Nobody else that I knew, right? Everyone else bailed. What? And so I'm in Munich. We get there. We're like, who cares? It's Oktoberfest. This is going to be great. We get there and they're like, dude, Oktoberfest is in September.
Whoa.
We were just there for a random 3 days in October. Oh my God. Because nobody checked.
Nobody knew.
Which, by the way, is the most American thing to do in the world.
It is. Right? You just assume that's time for it.
You just assume it is. Yeah. So we look like idiots. We don't speak German. And I'm with some dude I don't know. Right. And so we go to the Hofbrauhaus. That's the first place we go to.
Yep.
And very similar thing that you just said. We're sitting there Hofbrauhaus first night, and we're just, a beer there is like $5. A big stein, and we're drinking it, drunk beyond belief. And all of a sudden, the Oompa band is there, and they're playing, and then all of a sudden, they're playing "Country Roads" by John Denver.
What? Magic.
And if you've ever been to Hofbrauhaus, it's just picnic tables, and there's about 2,000 people. Yeah. In that room. And it's an old, there's still swastikas on the ceiling. Like, that's how old this old beer hall is. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's a historic beer hall. And you're sitting there and you're drinking, and then all of a sudden you hear 2,000 German men, "Country road, take me home." And it's 2,000 baritone voices.
Wow.
And it was like, and I almost started to cry. Like, it was the most weirdest, craziest thing, because I had been in Hawaii during 9/11. I couldn't get home. I got stuck because of because of the planes. And then I ended up, so I had gone from Hawaii straight to Munich, and so I hadn't been home since 9/11 had happened. And I grew up in, I was right outside of DC, so a lot of my buddies were involved in that. And so it was just like emotionally overwhelming. And then just to hear the strong, powerful monotone, "Country road," and it was like, but it was 2,000 voices. And it was amazing. So I can't imagine hearing
incredible
Elton John and Billy Joel singing that. That's got to be, and the whole, probably 10, 20,000 people screaming.
Yeah, it was one of the best concert moments I've experienced for sure. God, you need to make it happen, man. You and your wife got to go. Somehow leave the kids somewhere. I'm not sure where, but
kids go everywhere now, man. Anything times 9. So that's like a $5,000 night, man.
Yeah.
See that
I can't imagine. Well, at least, they're getting a little older where they can kind of start taking care of themselves to a certain extent, I guess. But
we're about 2 years from being able to actually
not for like an entire weekend by themselves, probably.
Yeah.
Damn. So I asked you about the car, the song in the car, your last concert. What song makes you cry?
Oh,
What song always is, doesn't fail to make you cry that you can think of?
Believe it or not, it's because of my son. What is the name of the song? I'll get it right. It's I just totally forgot. Frozen. The
Oh,
Let It
Let It
Go
Go.
from
Let It Go.
Frozen.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds crazy, but like that's my youngest son Temple's favorite song. He loves that
Okay.
movie. And with the house full of 6 boys and 1 girl,
Yep.
he gets made fun of a lot for
Sure.
loving Frozen.
Mm-hmm.
And so Temple and I have to secretly watch Frozen.
Nice.
Because he doesn't be embarrassed.
Yeah.
It's our thing. So it's awesome for me because first of all, it's a good movie. I don't care who you are. It's a good
Sure.
movie.
Yeah, it is.
Second one is fine, but first one's the best.
Yeah.
And we'll sit there and we'll sing every damn word.
Nice.
And Let It Go. I just told him, I said, buddy, man, you got to go be who you are, dude. Like you are who you are. Like if you like the song, like freaking sing the hell out of it.
Yeah.
It's like we're not gonna just hide it all the time. And so when we do our private Frozen nights, we fucking sing that.
You sing it. You sing.
We let it go.
You let it go.
I cry every time, man.
Oh, that's amazing.
Because it's like it's wrapped up in the parenting and the loving them, and I'm like, dude, you got to be who you are. Like,
yeah, do your thing.
Yeah.
That song for me, like when I was DJing weddings and school dances, that song always killed it. And like that moment where you can just have just the people on the dance floor just singing that a cappella. Yeah. It's incredible. It's like a magical mini moment, kind of like the Billy Joel, Elton John moment. It's like a miniature.
It's one of the more better written, soundtracks.
Yeah, for sure. It's great.
You can say what you want about it. I think La La Land is one of the better movies.
I still haven't seen it, man. I'm embarrassed that I haven't seen it yet.
That soundtrack is insane. I'll listen to it. I've listened to different symphonies play it. I've listened to the movie 1,000 times. It's very vogue to hate on it.
It is.
And that's fine. I don't care. It's a
right.
movie. And
that's probably why I haven't seen it, is because it has been crapped on so much by people. I feel like I just need to watch it.
You won't want to like it. You won't want to like it, but you'll be like, damn it. It's pretty good.
That Ryan Gosling character.
Oh, I'd marry Ryan. I think that's incredible, man.
He's a catch. He's a catch.
Dude, he's incredible. But that soundtrack, Let It Go, and then I think Greatest Showman is incredible as well.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't seen that one either. I've got some catching up to do.
For me, man, it's just my life's changed because like music for me now has to be something the whole family can get into. It can't just be what I dig.
Right.
And so like my life's not on hold, but it's just like what do all the kids like?
Yep, it's what's in this moment, what is in the now time.
Yeah. And then a good 80s band I will go nuts over.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So just got like 2 more questions here.
Yeah.
What have you been watching I know you have a family that ranges in age quite a bit. What have you guys been watching, either separate or together, the last couple of years?
You're going to laugh. There's a podcast we're addicted to right now. The whole crew. It's called 6 Minutes.
Okay.
It has like 300 episodes.
What?
It's very well written. It's a 6-minute podcast.
Perfect.
And it's about a family, and they find a girl in the ocean, and she turns out to be created in a lab, and she's like the she has superpowers. So it's really strong female characters. It's insanely well written. The audio is incredible. Wow. And I'm like, man, as a producer, I'm like, I gotta buy the TV rights to this thing. Or right. This is incredible. So I gotta look them up, and like the guys that write this thing, they've won like 5 Peabodys, right? Like, I mean. They just decided 5 years ago to go make really good kids podcasts.
Wow, that's amazing.
Just the other day, it's called 6 Minutes.
6 Minutes.
Just the other day, we were, my mom, me, and my kids, so 3 generations were listening to that podcast, and we listened to 3 hours of it driving.
So that's like a bunch of episodes in 3 hours.
Really good stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah, we listened to
that's 30 episodes. Yeah, math is terrible.
Then, we've really gotten into Sulphur Springs on Disney Plus. I know that sounds crazy.
Yeah. No.
Secrets of Sulphur Springs.
Secrets. Get it right.
Secrets of Sulphur
Springs.
Nice. It's I'm old enough that like I like it. It's a good story. It's a little scary. So the younger 2 kids didn't dig it, but it's really well made. And so again, all 3 generations were hanging on to it.
Wow.
Me personally, I just got to rewatch Game of Thrones with my wife. She had never seen it.
Yeah, I've never seen it either.
And man, second time around, it's really good.
It's quite different, I bet.
We loved we loved Schitt's Creek. I thought that was
my God.
Super
that
positive.
Show top notch. It's incredible.
It was hard because when you finished it, you're like, shit, what's next?
Right? What do I do?
Well, it's thank God Ted Lasso was there.
Ted Lasso is amazing
and so
too.
Ted Lasso like eased us out of Schitt's Creek because
us
we
too.
watched Schitt's Creek as soon as I moved here, and so we were in
okay.
love. We moved in together, and it's a love story. It's a great show.
Is.
So it was an amazing first show for us to watch together. But it set the bar so high.
That show, yes.
There's not a better sitcom in modern times.
No, there isn't for sure. Ted Lasso is also excellent, but it's amazing, not Schitt's Creek.
It'll be another, watch it 2 nights and then you got a year left.
Yeah. I like it. I like what HBO does when they release an episode a week.
Yeah.
The old format where it's like appointment. It's almost like appointment television, like back in the day. You know? And they tell you like, hey, you have a new episode of this. When you open up HBO's app, they'll tell you it's there.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'll say this when I'm totally alone. I think I'll watch Narcos. And
I've not seen that, but I've heard it's really good.
Start at the beginning, start in Colombia or in Colombia, and then go through Mexico. It's again very well written.
Yep. So I love Breaking Bad, so I think I would like this too.
I have not gotten different bad. I loved Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
But with 7 kids, I can't go that dark.
Can't do it. Yeah.
I don't watch it. I haven't watched Ozark. Everybody loves Ozark.
Oh, dude, that's another one I was going to recommend to you. Ozark.
So it's filmed. It's filmed 10 minutes from me.
Yeah, of course.
Like where we go in the lake is they don't film it in the Ozarks. They film it in Atlanta, right? And one reason I'm in Atlanta because the whole industry, TV industry, has moved here.
Yeah.
But like all of that, I mean, we like we'll be on the boat and we go by all the houses that are on there.
Oh, sure.
Like you gotta watch it, man.
Yes,
and I'm just like,
you have to.
I'm in this positivity thing. Like I can't bring it in there right now.
Right.
But I know like I gotta watch it at some point.
One show I will recommend to you guys is Pen 15. Have you watched that on Hulu? It's 2 comedians in their early 30s playing themselves in junior high as like early 30-year-olds. Just 2 friends. And growing up in the 80s and 90s, my wife and I appreciate it, and I think you guys would like it as well. We started watching it after the Schitt's Creek, ending happened.
15.
You're right. Pen 15 or hand it reads penis. That's what it is.
Okay, there you go. Even better.
Probably did that in grade school. I don't know. I know we all did. Like, right?
On the calculator, man. On the calculator. Yeah.
Boobies on your calculator.
Boobless, and boobless. And
kind of that thing. But yeah, Pen 15, man. My wife doesn't laugh out loud a lot when we watch TV, and she laughs out loud to that show. Let's just put it that way.
Have you tried Murderville? Have you watched that?
We've watched a couple. I really like it so far, but I want to see kind of who else is going to be in it. I haven't looked at who else has been in it, like as the guest. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing.
It's kind of, I think it's kind of funny. I mean, Will Arnett is, I can't decide if I love him or hate him.
I love him. His podcast, Smartless. Have you listened to that podcast at all?
I haven't. Is it good?
It's Will Arnett, Sean Hayes, and Jason Bateman doing a podcast.
Yeah, I've seen ads for it, but I haven't watched it.
Each week they pick a guest and don't tell the other people who it is. It's a surprise. So it's like they interviewed this person.
That's awesome.
As a surprise.
I love
it's a blast.
I think Murderville's brilliant, actually.
Yeah, it is.
And he's really, it's stupid, but it's brilliant.
Right.
And
stupid
sometimes
and
I need that. Yeah. Sometimes I need that.
For sure.
And he's really, the Lego Masters show they make is
right.
phenomenal, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually for my kids, it's the most
creative I bet thing. They love that.
Super diverse. Oh my God. I mean, it's the only time that they sit down and like
watch.
I can get 6 of the 7 kids to sit down and not talk for an hour. And then they'll talk about it.
Yeah, that's really huge.
Yeah, Will's pretty brilliant.
He is.
That show's massive. Like
it is. It's huge. Massive. So we're coming to the time in the podcast where it's time for you to do your plugs. If you'd like to plug all of the things that you're doing lately.
All right. The book, Keep the Memories, Lose the Stuff. You can get it everywhere, man. It's that good. Right. But do support your independent store if you can.
Right.
TV show, TV show Legacy List with Matt Paxton. You can watch all 3 seasons on public television anywhere in the country, or check out mylegacylist.com. mylegacylist.com. We are going to be filming in no, it's Nebraska.
Nebraska, it's close. It's 2 states below us. It's close enough.
We're going to be in Nebraska. We're trying to get in the Dakotas somehow.
Sure.
So we're looking for casting. Not that only your only fans are in there, but we are casting right now. If you have any cool old grandmas that are just crazy and have a couple cool things in their house, that's who we're looking for.
Nice.
Interesting families, like diverse, interesting, positive families. So we're casting right now. But you can watch all 3 seasons on my legacy list. And then social media, man, I am Matt Paxton. Everything's I am Matt Paxton.
Simple. The double
Give me a
M's in
follow
there.
if you would. Yeah, give me a follow if you would. And lots of good content. I've really doubled down on my social media in the last couple of years, and it's been fun, and people are getting a lot of help from it.
Yeah.
Which
you're always a good follow. Yeah. Right. You're always a good follow, and you're always good for useful posts and funny posts. And
well, thank you, man.
Yeah.
Well, dude, we'll do it again in 10 more years.
We'll do it. Yeah. It's been a blast. And yeah, let's not make it 10 years next time. Maybe just a couple, maybe a year or two.
Yeah, man. Dude, I'm honestly slowing down. I'm around, and I will be. I've saved this for your pod. This is I'm announcing it today.
Exclusive here.
I will be. Legit. I will save this for you.
Nice.
I will be back podcasting starting in October.
Yes. What? That's awesome.
It's basically going to be 5 decisions away, but all my guests are over the age of 80.
Oh my God. That is going to be a must listen, dude.
There.
That's exciting. Congrats.
A little less cussing, less beer, no weed, and every's over 80.
Well, not that you know of. I mean, they might be.
If they are, great. If they are, I'm not going to, it'd be rude of me not to do anything.
You have to.
No, they're like, I got to interview, just the other day, I interviewed the last, what's his,
Samurai.
No, just about. He was the last reporter for Life magazine. And he covered both Vietnam and the civil rights movement for.
Dang.
The dude's amazing.
That's impressive.
And I'm like talking to him, and about halfway through, I find out that I was like, so what did you do after that? He goes, I started this magazine. They gave us $1 million to start a magazine.
What?
I was like, what was it? It was People magazine.
Oh my God.
And then I find out, I'm like, who's the coolest guy you ever met? And he's like, oh, I was covering this village outside of the Philippines, and he goes, I go in there, and there's this guy, they point me to this hut. And he goes, it's one of those villages that hasn't, modernized, and they have no electricity or anything. And he goes, this is in the 60s, So he goes, I go in there, and Charles Lindbergh is just in there doing push-ups.
What?
And I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, hung out for 2 days in a hut with Charles Lindbergh.
That's incredible.
He goes, he taught me how to shine my shoes. Really interesting guy.
Whoa.
And the people he was Ronald Reagan. He was in Ronald Reagan's wedding. The stories these guys have.
Oh man,
and
I can't wait.
And they've also they're done with it, right? And so I was really trying to go with Before I Go. That was the original goal, because I said, hey, before you go, what do you want the world to know? And I wanted him to tell us that last moment. And it was right in the middle of it. When I interviewed him, it was during the Trump administration, the last year of Trump administration. And he goes, he goes, lies have become normalized. And he goes, I'm not just talking about Trump. He goes, because you can't blame it all on Trump. He goes, it's happened over the last 30 years. And he goes, he goes, the truth really matters. And no one pays attention to that anymore. And so as I interview these guys and girls, what they've seen in 80 plus years is just, one lady's like, I remember the first time I saw a car.
Dang, what? To remember that would be incredible.
She's like, I was 18. She's like, I was picking cotton. And I looked up and I said, what did you hear? She goes, well, I didn't hear clop, clop, clop.
Yeah, right.
And she goes, it was vroom, and I'd never heard that before. I didn't even know what it was.
It's new.
She goes, mind you, I had never even used the bathroom inside yet. And then this thing, and I'm like, my God, these people are still alive. So cool. That's amazing.
That's amazing that she's still around.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And so they're telling great stories, and so I'm really excited to be back with that. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be.
Are you casting for that yourself, or who do you?
Always casting. Yeah, anybody that you got. Yeah. And I'm telling you, they're all in your family. The best stories in the world are in your family right now. We've just forgotten to ask them.
Yep.
And they're gone if we don't start asking them right now.
And it's a shame, and it makes me sad to think about that. The relatives that I've lost, that I didn't have them sit down and talk with me on the podcast yet.
Got to get them down. Yeah, that's what I'm getting them down.
That's a goal of mine for sure.
So starting in October, man.
That's exciting, man. I'm so happy for that, man.
Really
Congrats. That's amazing.
But you got the exclusive.
I got the exclusive. I appreciate that. You saved it
just
for me.
Just so people know, Nate is a relentless casting, and I just appreciate it. You've been bugging me for like a year to do this.
I appreciate you saying yes, and it's just a matter of
I'm just sorry it took me so long. I know, but thank you for dealing with it. Yeah, I am, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Once a year, we'll do this once a year.
We'll do it. I've taken up a lot of your time, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining me on the Rocks podcast. It was great chatting with you and hearing your stories, and I can't wait to see all the other stuff you got coming up, man. Take care of yourself.
All right, dude. Man. Thanks again, man. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. See you later.
All right.
Peace. Bye. Well, that wraps up my super fun interview with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Matt Paxton. I had such a great time chatting with him. I've been trying to get him for like a year. He's so busy with his TV show and his book writing and all that other fun stuff that he does. He got the podcast coming up in October. He's returning to podcasting. Like I mentioned in the interview, his podcast was one of the first podcasts I listened to. So it was really cool to have him on my podcast. It came full circle. I've been a podcast listener forever. My friend Mark started this podcast and he turned it over to me, and I'm doing it here. And I appreciate you listening. Thank you so much for listening. We want you to subscribe to On the Rocks on Apple Podcasts, Apple Music. Leave a review, would you? That'd be great. I'd appreciate that. Follow us on Instagram at ontherocks_podcast and on Twitter at ontherocks_pod. Just search us on Facebook. Look for the logo with the drink and the devil horns, the rock and roll horns with the drink. Want to sponsor us? Yeah, you do. If you work for a cool business or have a cool small business and you want to sponsor the show, it doesn't cost much. We just want to, pay for some sponsored posts on Facebook, pay for some merch stuff, for giveaways and things like that. We're not going to take a lot of money from you. If you want to be on the podcast, On the Rocks Podcast 1, the number 1 at gmail.com. And I want to thank you for listening. Give a like to this episode with Matt Paxton. This is a great get for me on this show. Subscribe to On the Rocks Podcast as well, and share this episode with your friends. Thanks for listening. I'm Nate with On the Rocks Podcast. See you next time.